guess not the obstacles, what are the fears that you have going forward that you see, or threats to the church going forward right now?
There are, in the present day, lots of potentials for schism over gender issues. We've mentioned the condition of the United Methodist Church in America at the moment. And I think a lot of Christian energy can go into fighting your side in splits, which should be going into more obvious spreading of the gospel. I think that's one risk. I think another risk is emphasizing experience, as some Pentecostals would, the denigration of theology. And I think that risk is there because, all the more there in our day, because of the shift from the emphasis on the verbal to the visual that I've mentioned, which is part of the broad cultural trend in Western civilization in our day. If you don't want to emphasize the verbal, you may think that doctrine is unimportant. And I'm troubled by many Christian bookstores in this country, and some I've seen in the States, though by no means all, where there are lots of books on Christian living and none on Christian theology. That worries me a very great deal for the future. Theology is important for the well-being of the church. In terms of threats, clearly major threats to the Christian faith come from the state. And in many parts of the world in our day, the state is very hostile to the Christian church. That would be true in many parts of the Muslim world. Still, technically, Christians are not allowed to worship in Saudi Arabia. It's simply not allowed, but it does happen, of course, in private. And there are other countries where, according to official statistics kept, especially in the States, religious freedom is tending on a downward course rather than upward course. There is also the risk from state authorities which favour one particular expression of faith rather than another. And that is probably most obvious in contemporary Russia, where there is an extraordinary fusion between the policies and stance of the government headed by President Putin and the stance of the Russian Orthodox Church under its Patriarch Kirill. I heard a paper on that at a conference only last month, which showed the intertwining is very, very strong. And hence, other Christian denominations, most obviously evangelical denominations, are regarded as marginal and often unpatriotic, and that is going on in contemporary Russia. That can happen as well in China, of course, despite the enormous growth of the church in China over the past half century, and it can happen elsewhere too. There is always a threat to the Christian church from the state. The state is depicted in Revelation as a danger to the church. It is like the symbol of Babylon is always there, and it's over against the church, and that is true in our day. So there are some of the things that I think are troublesome. The advantages of the church are, of course, those that Christian leaders, Christian preachers have always emphasized. God is with us. The truth is strong and will prevail. And I do believe that. I believe that the Holy Spirit, God himself, is in the church and empowering the church. And that means that there is growth even in very difficult parts of the world in our day, often at its most effective in the most difficult parts of the world, because it is still true. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church.